So here's something weird. Remember virtual reality? It's coming.
For the average San Francisco teenager, the world is about to change in a big way.
But there's no really way to predict like how it's going to grow, which is kind of fun and exciting, I think.
My name is Peter Rubin, and I am a senior editor at Wired.
I'm Robert Scoble. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Upload VR, but that doesn't really explain who I am.
My name is Ellen Hewitt, and I'm a tech reporter at Bloomberg News.
I kind of had this long-standing infatuation with virtual reality, just the idea of it, from science fiction and 90s movies and stuff that I'd grown up with.
It's the ability for you to reproduce human interfaces in a way that fools your mind to think they're real.
You can Skype with your friends, you can FaceTime with your friends. But imagine doing that, and instead of being in your living room or in your room, you're on the moon, or you're underwater, or you're surrounded by a 360-degree environment that someone else created and you just want to hang out in. Facebook bought Oculus because Mark Zuckerberg, is the CEO of Facebook, knows what the potential of virtual reality is. And that is, he's called this the most social platform possible.
For it to be a social media, it would have to be something that was available to everyone. Technology theorists, talk about how when you democratize a new technology, you start to see a lot of uptick in usage and then a lot of experimentation and change in terms of how it could be used. I don't feel that VR is yet something that everyone actually has access to or even feels like they have access to, so it hasn't been something that everyone has sort of tinkered around with and tried to see what they could come up with.
It's going to change music, because already there's an app called Soundstage where you can create music virtually on 40 different virtualized real instruments. So it's like having a full studio in front of you, except it costs $20.
In the same way that a lot of people now have powerful cameras in their pockets that they didn't have 5 or 10 years ago, if you can imagine democratizing this tool to create VR content in the future, and if it became super easy and that everyone had it, you would have this explosion of really interesting perspectives, ideas. People would play around with it and come up with things that no one else had thought of before.
The most important part of being empowered as a VR storyteller is having access to it. Having access to the technology to create within it. And what's great about that is that the cameras are surprisingly affordable. So it's not going to be, as I said, this massive 4K rig of a bunch of different cameras. I mean, at the very high end, true VR filmmaking is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you're going to rent the camera because no one can afford to buy it. So there are a couple of companies that will make these, but you go down the line and GoPro and Kodak and all these different companies are making much more affordable versions of this. So the important part is getting the means of production in the hands of the people who want to tell the stories. And just by virtue of that alone, you've been empowered.
But if I was a kid today, I would learn the rules of how media was made, right? i.e. a movie from beginning to end, and forget all those rules, because in VR there are no rules.
I'm very intrigued by its ability to trick your brain into thinking you are in the experience of someone else. So this ability to make you experience life almost literally through someone else's eyes and in their shoes. I often feel that when people don't understand each other or don't understand the experiences that someone else went through, it's because our brains really, I've spent my entire life living in my body and experiencing life through my body. What would it be like if I experienced something in someone else and through their eyes? We don't really know what that could do in the long run for expanding our sense of empathy, our sense of shared experience with other people.
It's really more about what virtual reality is going to do to change the way that we interact with each other. Change the way we interact with ourselves, change the way we interact with artificial intelligence, games and applications, but more importantly, what it means for human relationships.
This technology that's coming in the next 2 years is the best learning technology humans have ever invented. It's why it's going to matter to a teenager, because you should be trying to build your brain as a learning machine, because you're going to have to learn so many new things in your lives compared to my lives. that the first thing you should try to do is get a pair of these glasses to help you learn faster. Everything you can come up with, any scenario, any story, you can probably make it happen in these glasses. You know, if you were in VR, why couldn't I move around a set, right? If this was a set, why would I have to stay within the confines of a camera?
But as VR headsets become more like glasses, and as those glasses start to be able to deliver not just virtual reality, but augmented or mixed reality, which are these other kind of siblings in artificial reality, we are all going to be able to be in the real world with one another alongside all these kind of fantastic artificial elements, being able to bridge those gaps with us as we really are. So we don't need to change ourselves. We are just, who we are is who is in VR.